you? Doing good? Hi, guys. All waving to me. I love my peeps. As you were sitting here before I put up the PowerPoint, you probably saw some pictures of some new hires or promotions for individuals here at the campus. So as we started that, we thank Karen Swain for putting that together for us. So that way it's our way to introduce new employees to all of you throughout the year, and that we don't have new employees from November being recognized as new employees next August. So that was a great suggestion you all had, so I hope that you enjoyed that. And if you want a copy of the PowerPoints ever, you can just let Karen know and she'll shoot that out with the pictures. Welcome to our new employees, and congratulations to those who had promotions since our last update. I wanted to also make sure that everybody that came in got their new Delaware Tech pin. You got it? Looking good? So wear them with pride, please. Of course, we all wore the 50th anniversary ones and got lots of compliments on those, and we thank Mark and Christine and the Office of the President for moving forward with getting us some new fancy ones without the 50th year. So wear them with pride, please. The other thing I wanted to mention is it has been 1 year since I've been in this role. Last year at this campus update, it was my first campus update as the new campus director, and I just wanted to take a moment to thank each of you for your support during my first year. Giving me some pointers on some things, helping me understand your different areas. As you all know, I spent a lot of time in instruction, and I knew just enough to be dangerous in a lot of those programs. I've told you that over the years, but I've learned a lot this last year, and I thank you guys for your continued support. Thank you. And I did want to just share one announcement. We talked about new employees, and I think most everybody has heard, or many people have heard, but I wanted to let you know that our Bob Hearn will be retiring on March 30th, retiring from the state, but Mary Ellen said he had to keep working, so he's accepted another position, and at his church. I hope that's okay, Bob, that I share that. I already did, so I hope it is. Yeah, sorry. So we will miss him dearly, and I know he's going to be with us through March 30th, but I think you would all agree that he helps us run a very well-oiled machine here. He's taught us a lot about finances, especially me, and I'm thankful that he said I can call him anytime I want. So let's give Bob a big round of applause. Okay, so our agenda is full. Remember I said that we cut back the number of updates in the year, so we have a full agenda. And you might see a lot. I think the whole Office of the President might be here today. Pretty close. So we have Lynn Beatty, our VP for HR, Jerry McNesby, VP for Finance, Justina Sapna, VP for Academic Affairs, Melissa Rakes, Associate Vice President for Academic Affairs, Judy Seipel, Vice President for Institutional Effectiveness and Development. I had to write that down because I can never remember that. Rich Welch, our legal counsel, and Tarantin Pritcha, our International Ed Director. So welcome all of our friends from OOP today. Thanks for having fun with us at Owens. I'll still act like I normally act, so don't worry, they know how I am. So let me start out with giving a little bit of update on what we refer to here as the big three, right? So last year when I started in this role, we said what were three things that we were going to try to focus on as a team this year. And student and employee success, wellness, and service were our big three, and we're going to continue those again this year. And there's just a couple things I wanted to highlight, and two of them are on here. There are a million things that we could talk about how everybody here supports student success, and how hopefully we're supporting each of you to be really happy and successful employees here. But one of them that I have noted up here is that our Owens campus team dispersed almost $400,000 in scholarships from the Ed Foundation during the last calendar year. I think that's pretty impressive. There were a lot of people that played a role in that. So Jason Bentley and his team, thank you, Jason, our financial aid office, our scholarship committee, Bob and his team. That's something to celebrate. Jace, what was the numbers that you told me this morning for the number of awards?
I think it was 884 awards.
Yeah, 884 awards that students got so that they could come here and see a dream come to reality. So let's applaud that team and how we're supporting student success. An employee's success can be measured in a lot of different ways. To me, when I see you guys here smiling and enjoying your day at work, I think that's a win for us. I think that's a real win. But, as I put here, I always tell you guys, you're rock stars. But we had 13 employees complete degrees this past year. So that's on top of working here, doing 50 million things outside of work, committed to lifelong learning. So 13 employees completed degrees, anywhere from an associate degree to a doctorate degree. So let's clap and celebrate our employee success. And I thank you, Cassie, for taking such good pictures that I can steal off of Facebook. Okay. So, update on our big three, number 2, wellness. So many of you know that we started this idea of Fitness Fridays every Friday. We started it in November-ish, and we're continuing it through the spring semester. So there you can see 16 of your colleagues were doing Tai Chi last week in the gym area and had a great time. It's also a great way for us to really leverage our partnership with Cardiokinetics to make sure that we're really focusing on wellness, fitness, and not just wellness and fitness from an exercise standpoint, but we also have integrated some education, so some lunch and learns. So when you leave today, on the table outside will be the calendar. We also have posters throughout the campus, but our Fitness Friday calendar. So if you can get away on a Friday and join us, one of the pictures on the original slide, the first slide, was of just a walk around campus we had one day. We always have Cassie with us because I can't do selfies. So Cassie comes along and walks and then does the selfie that I can post somewhere. Join us for Fitness Fridays, a lot of fun, and just a good opportunity to get to know people from other divisions on campus too. So I love when we start out, everybody says who they are, and it never fails. Somebody says, "You're that person? I've talked to you on the phone forever." And here we are at this campus. So I hope that you'll join us. The other thing I wanted to mention, just because I love sushi, is that Java 101 is now offering sushi. Sushi happy hours, Monday through Thursday, 2 to 4. And I think sushi is healthy. I don't know if it really is, but is it? Do you think? Okay, all right, good. So I put it on the wellness slide. So you can, Monday through Thursday, you can have sushi, and then Friday you can walk or do Tai Chi or whatever we're doing that particular week. So if you guys have ideas for other wellness type of activities, let us know. For any of the big three, let me know. Email me, call me, text me. You all have my number, so you know how to get a hold of me. And then, yes? Yes. Yes. Oh, thank you, Bridget. And we do not have raw fish. We only have cooked fish here. Are we allowed to call it sushi? Yes. Okay, good. Okay. Thank you. I learn something new every day. All right, our update on the big three service. So we were talking about this morning in administrative council. All the administrators have been so pumped about the outcomes from service and all the great things that all of you have done. And I just put a couple things on here. Remember when we were collecting food items, like the end of November to the beginning of December for the veterans? We were able to distribute 40 baskets of cheer to veterans throughout Sussex County. That is the coolest thing ever. Yeah, I think it's awesome. Not to mention that we rang bells for Salvation Army, and yes, Karen and I were there on the day it was -6 degrees. I think it was very cold, but that was fun because we got to wear our Delaware Tech gear. How many of you in here did that? Raise your hand if you rang the bell. Yeah, awesome. Thank you very much. So we wore our Delaware Tech gear. We went over to Walmart. We rang the bell for an hour, and we came back to campus and spread a little holiday cheer. Many of you donated cookies for our troops. We filled stockings for Salvation Army. We collected toys for Tots. And yes, Chris Moody's team won. I'm sorry to say that. Not for them. I like to harass Chris. So yes, so they collected the most toys for Tots. I mean, the generosity of this campus just blows me away. So I'm proud to lead a campus that is so focused on service. So thank you. And we're going to continue that into the spring semester. Gail's going to talk a little later about the food pantry and opportunities for volunteering with that. Gail and I are working on some habitat opportunities for us for the spring semester for employees that want to do that. And we're open to other ideas. So if there's other things service related, or if you're involved in a student club, maybe you're the advisor and you're doing something service and we can all join in, let Karen know in my office and we will get the word out. So we want to be out in the community. We want to be giving back because we want to rely on our community to support us and give back to us when we need them, okay? So let's keep that focus on service to others, and congratulations, Workforce Development Team, on being the champions this year. We'll see if next year they'll stay the champions. Pretty cool. All right. Oh, the other things that are coming up too, Kristen's going to talk about this gala volunteers. You can do some service there. And we're also going to have Campus Community Day again this year. So more to come at the next employee update on that. Okay? Any questions about the big three? Okay. So let me shift gears a little bit, and this part, Mr. McNesby and I are going to tag team on. But you all may, I hope that you either saw or read Governor Carney's State of the State address. It was excellent. He has, such good commitment to so many important issues in our state. But the piece that I wanted to share particularly is the part that out of all the higher eds he could mention, he mentioned us. Because he's focused on jobs. He's focused on creating a strong workforce. He's focused on our pathway programs. And he says here, quote, "That's why we're investing in our institutions of higher ed, particularly Delaware Tech, so students graduate ready to enter the workforce." So I feel really proud and really, really happy that our governor not only will support us, but says it in his State of State, and then I'm going to share some things about his recommended budget as well, which supports what he said last week. So we have the support of our governor. We're a small state. We can do great things, and they recognize that Delaware Tech is the organization that's going to make it happen. And that's not me, and that's not Jerry, and that's not Justina. That's all of you. So I thank you for that, and we thank you in advance for all the work that you're going to do to help us continue to be the organization, the institution that makes, that prepares our workforce, because that's really a pretty cool thing to be, for our governor to say that's the institution. I don't know about you, but that makes me pretty proud to work at Delaware Tech. So with that, Governor Carney made his budget recommendations today, and what I wanted to let you know is, fortunately, his priorities mirror those the college has emphasized over the past few years relating to valuing our employees, supporting academic programs, providing access for students, and addressing our deferred maintenance needs. And we are really thankful for his support of these initiatives. So I'm going to list the proposed. Now don't get all excited, because I'm going to say this is still a proposal, but I knew the first one would get you a little happy. Let me get through these. This is the governor's proposal. Excuse me. And it could change as part of the legislative process this spring. However, this is a good, as Jerry and I said a couple minutes ago, he was in my office, this is a good place to be at this time right now. So right now, the governor's recommendations that really impact us as a college right now is a 2% salary increase for all state employees, additional support to expand our BSN program, and this is pretty big because this is a time when we were told we really couldn't ask for more or we really couldn't expand, and the governor's recommending that and supporting that. So that's a big deal for us. Continued funding of 25 of our health fund instructional positions, ongoing support for the SEED scholarship program, and I think you would all agree that's critical. And I also want to share that the college is really focusing on promoting, getting the word out, really spreading the message about SEED. So we're making that a priority this year because we believe that that's an area where we really can help enrollment, help students really understand that they can afford college, and that they can start understanding that at an earlier age too, middle school. So more to come on that, but the governor is definitely supporting that. $6.5 million in capital support, which is an increase over our current year, but Jerry's gonna share some information that, $6.5 million seems like a lot of money until you have to spread it across 4 campus locations with aging buildings. So Jerry's gonna talk a little bit more about that, but thankful for the governor's recommended proposal on that and the increase. And then lastly, he's committed or proposed access to additional capital funding for our deferred maintenance. So this is really positive for us as we start out the year, this calendar year. The governor has put it out there that he's supporting Delaware Tech, and his recommended budget definitely speaks to that as well. So with that said, I'm going to transition and have Jerry come up and walk us through the fund budget stuff. But when he comes up, I want him to pull his pant legs up because, are you going to go up there? Okay. And look, me too. Justine at the moment. So you have to pull them up, Jerry. So at the end of, look here, come here, Justina too.
Mine are really bright and beautiful.
So you're going to hear a little later today. I asked my fellow President's Council friends to wear their mixed match socks today. So you're going to hear from our OTA club at the end today. But Rock Your Socks is coming up, another way to support a great cause, the Down Syndrome Association, and it's World Down Syndrome Day. So we got to rock our really full socks from last year today, so we hope everybody's going to rock theirs in March when it's the day to do it, okay? So cool, thank you. All right, Chair.
The things you asked me to do.
I wonder if he has to do this at Stanton George. Should I tell Kathy J?
No, don't do that. I also want to put a plug in. I just saw Bob Keim over there that on February 4th, the polar bear plunge is going to take place. And of course, that'll be the great day we all celebrate the Eagles beating the Patriots. So come on out and watch people go into the ocean. It's great to see this place infested with so many people from the office of the president there. But I looked around the table the other day at the President's Council meeting, and do you know what our head of public safety, legal, strategic communications, academic affairs, student services, development, all have in common? They're all from Sussex County, so I'm not sure where the office of the president is. I guess I get a half of a circle around there since I come down here quite often. One of the things last year when we were very close to getting the CCIF, or Community College Infrastructure Fund, SB 50, approved was, and we're so close, but I think one of the things that we assume is that everybody knows and understands what the issue is there. And I think that we assume that everybody, supports it. And I think what Mark wants to really focused on this year is making sure that we get to have a grassroots effort and getting out to the community. And he wanted me to start here today with the people who are so near and dear and close to this issue. And we understand it. I mean, you may hear about it 2 or 3 times a year. Of course, you experience it every day with leaky roofs and things that could look better. And first of all, hats off to the facilities guys with the Lynn and Scott and their team. They do an outstanding job here, there. But what we wanted to do is, we understand that not everybody has the same understanding of it there, and people may not, really support whether you work here or not, but we at least have to have people who can converse about what the issue is, because you're out there in the community there. It is a property tax, plain and simple there. But I think that, this community, this county, gets a heck of a return on the amount of money that's put into this college and what comes out of here. There for both, the taxpayers themselves and the students who benefit across their entire lifetime with increased earnings there. So I wanted to take a couple minutes. I don't want to walk you through, a bunch of numbers and you start nodding out on me. I see people going to sleep. I'll peel off and tell, a couple of jokes here, but I'm gonna look real refreshing because you have to go through an explanation of drones later on in this presentation. So just say, bring back Jerry. But I'm going to be really kind of real simplistic about this if I can. But this is a chart that we use. That the top line is based on the fact that we have, the college as a whole has roughly $400 million in capital assets. If we were to replace the whole college, it would be about $400 million. And what the industry says that you should be reinvesting 3% of that number back in into your facilities every year. The bottom line shows you how much we've been getting from the state that targets, deferred maintenance and campus improvements. So you see the difference in those two lines, which is about $7.5 million there. That's the deficit that's been created. Now, 2 things are going to happen when you're working under these kind of circumstances, the past 10 or so years. Is one, many of you have experienced this. Projects take a long time from start to finish. If you look at the Jason building, the Jason Technology Center, it took us 10 years. Remember, we're getting $4.5 million spread across 4 campuses. So if you do your gazintas, it's not a lot of money per campus. So that's why it took us average of 10 years for these major projects. The old Jason High School, the old Polytech High School, the ETB building at Terry campus, the nursing wing at the Stanton campus. So you can imagine the cost estimates in year 1 versus the actual cost in years 7, 8, and 9. So the cost, not only did we delay in getting the projects done, the cost of the projects go up, okay? The second piece of this, what else happens? Well, you've seen this chart before also. When you're dealing with that first chart and showing the gap of $7.5 million a year, your deferred maintenance is going to be piling up. So we go from almost 40 million to almost 90 million now, and we're fastly headed to $100 million. And quite frankly, we've been combined with the University of Delaware and Dell State, getting the same amount of money each and every year. And they may be saying, we have a $100 million deferred maintenance problem, at University of Delaware. We have $100 million at Dell State. The state, has deferred maintenance up and down the state. I mean, the only difference between us and those 3 is they have a way to pay for it. So what we're using these slides for here is we're going to be meeting with some business leaders early next week. We have a scheduled veterans breakfast scheduled for next Wednesday, and we're going to be getting the message out there in a very simplistic form. And these are the kind of things that we're going to educate them in terms of the age of these facilities that we have here at the Owens campus. I mean, in a summary form, what you can see is, you are serving almost 14,500 credit and non-credit students. I mean, that is substantial there. We have 862 employees here. Over 400 some thousand in square footage, 18 buildings with an average age of almost 42 and a half years. I mean, like Mark says, he'd like to be 42. I'd like to be 52 there. But, they're old, but they're well taken care of. But as part of that gap that I showed you, just for the Owens campus alone, we're at almost $25 million. And some of the major problems that you see here, you have MEP problems throughout this whole campus, the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing in all these facilities there. This building alone, $5.5 million ventilation job where we had a pre-bid meeting today, where we're going to be going into the ceilings. I don't want to do any announcements here, but there's going to be a bunch of these projects that we're trying to find the funding for. I mean, these projects alone for the Owens campus are almost $20 million. So, yes, it's great news that we're getting $6.5 million, but it doesn't go far. We've got 3 other campuses that we have to support with that same $6.5 million. The number estimated on this building in terms of the rehab, it's roughly $5.5 million. That's the entire amount of the college's capital appropriation this year. So it doesn't really go that far. And as I said before, we're looking at approaching $100 million. To the left here, you see the school districts. 16 of the 19 have referendums there. They have bonding authority. Of course, the 3-vote techs are funded differently without their referendums. And of course, the state, has state appropriation. For each one of those referendums, the state's put in 60% of the cost there. On the right-hand side, Dell State and University of Delaware have, large endowments, bonding authority, and state appropriations also, and we're sitting in the middle with $4.5 million a year to fund the $100 million program. Those are the basic numbers, in terms of why we got to where we are. So if you're talking with someone about the issue, is that gap that I showed you before is how we got to this level of 40 to 80 to $100 million, plain and simple there. And of course, last year we had that CCIF or Senate Bill 50, which gave us bonding authority, but having bonding authority is nice, but if you don't have a way to pay for it, it's useless. So that's why we needed the property tax revenue, which almost 3/4 of community colleges around this country are supported by local property taxes. This is not a new invention there. The money that is raised in Sussex, in Kent, in Newcastle counties, that money is going to be required to be stayed for projects in that county where the money is raised. Deferred maintenance, we had a plan that's going to support over $100 million in capital projects. And as the college comes out of the bond bill, the other higher eds benefit in 2 ways. One is theoretically there should be more money in the bond bill for the other higher eds. And 2, you have a partnership center here that's supporting 3 other higher ed institutions. We have our associate and arts degree programs at the Terry and the Wilmington campuses. When those facilities get improved, the associate and arts degree students do. So those other higher ed institutions benefit by this. And last but certainly not least, it's going to be able to give us the ability to plan. We didn't plan on having this ventilation project here 6 months ago, but it's going to have to be done. So we have no way of figuring out what the future is going to be. Now, when we talked about a property tax there and the impact, it has on the residences, and this is targeting for Sussex County. I mean, based on our information in 2015, the average market value, was a little over $182,000 of residences. Okay, but of course, there's this gap between market value and assessed value. It's the assessed value which you apply the tax to, and as you can see, I mean, the 16,000 is roughly 8.5% of the market value. So there's your house may be worth a lot, but it's being taxed at a lower rate. So what we did was, in 2017, you may recall, Sussex Tech had a 6.5 cent tax increase put in place about 3 or 4 years ago. And there was I guess I'll call it a get your act together type period, and then it was supposed to sunset when their tax rate was initially increased from 23.5 cents per $100 of assessed value to 30 cents, and then starting in 2018, it decreased. So if you look at a house with an average market value of 182,000, 16,000 assessed value, you're paying about, based on that 30 cents, about $48.30 a year. When that tax rate went down this year, the 6.5 cents, it dropped to $37.84. And it's going to stay that way till 2019. But our financing plan and the legislation reduced the amount that we're asking for in terms of the cap to the same 6.5 cents that the Sussex tax was being reduced. So our financing plan looked at what our capital needs were here, and it would gradually increase using that 6.5 cents, paying for that $100 million in projects there between now and 2024. So the Sussex County property owner is going to be paying for the same property tax in 2017 as it is in 2024, but we would have solved a lot of the substantial portion of the deferred maintenance. This is what's frustrated us about it was it's basically net, not a property tax increase, net. Some people will say, well, it's going to reduce, so we gave that back, but net, that's what the plan was. And we would feather it in across the year where it would be, in the first year, which is in 2020, 2 years from now, is less than $3 a year. Across this whole year, this 5-year time period, it's about $10.50, roughly speaking. So when you're looking at our plan and the impact on the taxpayer, which is at the end of the day, no one likes running for office and having to say they support a property tax increase, okay? But you know better than anyone, what you're putting back into the community and how you're changing lives, in this county, not to mention the whole state there, and improving the lives. And this Delaware Tech is an economic development machine there. And if you're looking at having to pay an additional $3, a year, we can go without that one milkshake. Or the second year, maybe that Big Mac. or another $1.61, maybe we could do the French fries, you know. The third, fourth year of that, where the tax is gonna go up 48 cents a year, that's a cookie there. So, but where can you get a cookie for 50 cents? Of course, $1.13, you know, maybe you get another hamburger. I mean, it's had to be reduced to this, you know, to paying roughly $10.50 a year, 88 cents a month. I mean, that's where our frustration was. And the return on investment that I referenced here earlier of 9 and 18% to the taxpayer students is beyond belief. And it's really that simple. But it is a tax there. And we need the support to keep this going because, quite frankly, we spend so much time talking about this issue when we should be doing so many other things there. So, but we can't do it without the great work that you do and changing the lives of students around. We have so much to brag about there. And people turn a deaf ear on it because it's a tax there. So I encourage you, you know, that when you're in those small groups, and this is going to be a grassroots effort that's really starting right now. This is the first time. This is the first group. Why Mark sent me to do it is beyond me. So, but it's something that should be done.
As locals, we always are shouldering with our senators and our local representatives, and I'm trying to talk to them too. And as a teacher, I'm just curious, can you give us a cheat sheet? I don't mean that kind of cheat sheet.
No, yeah.
Can a cheat sheet just look like this is how many? I know,
Yep.
you know, even Bobby's giving us great numbers, like 80% of the workforce in Delaware.
Yeah.
Right? And every person I always talk to is like, oh, I graduated from Delaware, like, it's awesome, it's great. But you always sort of get tongue-tied with like, what am I talking with? What are the things I've got to say? Because the representatives always say, you got to talk to the constituents, they've got to know. And then I get scared and worried, and then I can't think of the things I need to say.
Right.
Or why we need the money, because they're going to say, well, don't you get money like all the other public? They
Yeah.
talk like that sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just a
Yeah.
cheat sheet or a check
Yeah.
sheet, just something like, okay, here's the big things I need to mention and
Right.
why, it's just that so we're all on sort of the same page.
Yep. We're doing exactly that for our veterans breakfast. What do we call it, a rack card or something? And we will take that and we will expand on it. It's not going to answer all the questions, but we're trying to do it in bite-sized things that we can spout out and then spin off there. But yeah, thank you. Yep, yes.
I would also add, I think as a parent, you want to invest in the lives of your children. As adults, it's a little bit different. I think you can sometimes think differently. It's just as critical, just as important. You know, you have to take it to that level of thinking, these are adults, but how can we still be supportive of that tax?
Mhm. It's going to take, we've been through so many of these discussions. That's why I reduced it to hamburgers and French fries there. And Mark always starts these things out. You can go across to Arby's, you know, for $2 and less than $3 the first year. Are you kidding me? And I guess the people that are moving in from out of state, they see our property tax, which is, you know, one of the major reasons why they moved here there, and they're looking at, you know, a tax bill that's our annual, it's their monthly. So we need all of your help. Yes, ma'am.
Jerry, this kind of goes back to something that Bobby said. I am absolutely amazed when I go to dinner parties, events on the western side of Sussex County, I'm sorry, eastern side of Sussex County, how few parents know about the seed scholarship.
Mhm.
The kids do not want them to know
Mhm.
because they want to get an H out of Delaware.
Mhm. Right.
They want to go.
Right.
And there's a piece where I feel like we're missing out
Mhm.
on, that we're not educating parents on
Right.
the opportunities.
I totally agree. Ironically, we just talked about it on Tuesday when we met there, and I know Melissa has got and Justina I mean, it starts in the schools. in terms of the middle school, grade schools, is getting that message out. I couldn't agree with you more there, and it's on the radar for sure. Hamburgers and French fries, remember that. Once, absent the hamburgers and French fries, we're going to meet with the business leaders, but what we're going to summarize is that you serve one heck of a number of students here. I mean, over 14,500 students. I mean, 862 employees, full and part-time. And we have quality programs, but we have relevant programs. And each one of these programs are here and beyond, because I know I missed a couple there, where people are walking across that stage, and they're not going to the unemployment line there. And of course, we all know they're walking across that stage without having to worry about student loans as much as the others. And of course, you know, our graduates stay in Delaware. They're not walking across the stage, getting in their car, and going back to New York and New Jersey. They stay here and they contribute. This is the return on investment that if you could just keep harping on that, you know, you're paying a tax, but you're getting a return on investment for both the taxpayer and our students. You know, Mark emphasized this the other day in terms of, I mean, over 1,600, you know, academic degrees and awards during the past 3 years alone there. I mean, if you're an employer looking at relocating, where are you going to go to find your employees there? I mean, that's substantial. And this is however, you know, the facilities are deteriorating, you know, at an accelerated rate. You know, and I know Scott and Lynn, you know, it's like playing whack-a-mole with these buildings there, and it's not going to stop there. I mean, I was encouraged by what Bobby put up on the screen, where the governor and the director of OMB, Mike Jackson, have set aside capital funding for state facilities there, which have deferred maintenance problems, just like us. The good news is that these are state facilities there, where the other two institutions are not. So hopefully we can start breaking the everyone's allegedly equal formula. And of course, we have insufficient support to address the issue. So if you have ideas on where we ought to go, if you need, you know, those kind of rack cards or need to be educated, we just need to keep it simple. I didn't say stupid. Yeah, but Bobby's going, I can't wait till he gets the heck off. But we can't do it without you. And I certainly thank you for your time. And, you know, send an email to Bobby with any questions. But thank you very much.
Jerry, we do, you know, appreciate you coming here and sharing this, because it is a difficult topic to share with people, because it is about taxes, right? So we're going to get those rack cards. What you see up on the screen here, gang, is if you are a veteran or you know a veteran, next Wednesday we're having a veterans breakfast here on campus, and the whole idea around this is let's educate our veterans in our community, who we feel that we do a really good job of supporting them here at the college. And so notice that we've put on here, this is not a request for a donation, because it's not. We want them to come so we can share this information, so they can go out into the community and talk to their senators and representatives to help tell the story. There is no doubt that you all picked up the phone last May and June. There is no doubt that our retirees picked up the phone and called last May and June. And there's no doubt that our students did the same thing. But what our legislators are telling us is they need more. They don't just want individuals that are employed by, were employed by, or attending Delaware Tech to be calling. So this is why we're going out into this grassroots effort to really, so if you think of other groups that we could reach out to, We're doing the veterans breakfast, we're doing the business leaders dinner, or, get together on Monday night. Mark is going to be going around to some homeowners associations. That may sound a little strange, but just last week I was at Bayside in Selbyville doing a presentation on some of our programs. None of those people were from around here, and not one person knew what Delaware Tech was. And so these are individuals that live here, can make a difference, but really don't know about the issues. So if you all can help us, we're going to get the RAC card. We have one from the veterans event, so the veterans breakfast. So we'll update that and we'll shoot that out to everyone. And if you have any questions, really seriously, give us a call, shoot us an email. We really need to start rallying the troops now. Michelle,
Is this available on social media?
what's that?
Image or to send out?
Is it on social media? Who am I looking for? Kristen? Do you know if we can, right? Yep, we can get it out today on social media. There are ads in some of the local newspapers. We sent out specific letters. So please RSVP, and we hope that you or friends of yours, family that are veterans, can come and learn more about what our needs are, okay? Thank you guys, and thanks, Chair. I appreciate that. Yes? Oh yeah, Jamie.
Allison emailed just to say at DTCC, so if anybody's trying to RSVP.
Oh yeah, I see that. At DTCC, thank you. Why didn't we see that earlier when we were looking at that 5 million times? Thank you. Yeah, okay, great. Any other questions about that? I know it's a heavy topic, it's a lot of information, but I think we all love this college and this campus very much, and to be quite honest, if the buildings aren't functioning and we have more buildings that need $5 million in repair, I don't know how long we can keep those buildings open because the money isn't there. I mean, I don't want to be, gloom and doom, but, this was unexpected. We found out about this 6 months ago, $5.5 million. So need your help, and we know that we can count on you. So with that said, let's get a little happier and have Gail come up and give us a student affairs update. Thank you.
I appreciate the opportunity to share some exciting news from Student Affairs. First, you may be aware that our new campus food pantry recently opened, and we're so fortunate to have this wonderful resource on our campus. Its purpose is to address food insecurities among our campus community members. It's located, if you're not already aware, in our Student Services Center dining hall near the exterior doors that lead to the Child Development Center. And our administrative services team did a wonderful job in making a former storage space pantry ready. So it looks great. And we've been open now for 4 weeks, 3 days a week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday for 2 hours each of those days. And thus far, we have had 30 visits, and we have distributed 463 pounds of food and 67 pounds of non-food items. We are fully booked today, so it is certainly, the word is getting out. It's growing, so that's wonderful. Those who wish to visit the pantry to shop, make an appointment using the link that's found on the portal announcement, in the flyer, and in digital signage. So please encourage your students to look for that link to sign up. There are also many types of volunteer opportunities for employees and students. So if you're interested in learning more about those opportunities, please let me know, or you can contact Patrice Winder in our division, who can help you. And I want to finally thank all of those who have participated in making the pantry launch such a success so far. And we greatly appreciate the time that you have put in. So again, please pick up a flyer if you like on your way out, because it does, I think, contain all of the pertinent information that you need. You can share that with your students. Thanks so much. Next, I am pleased to highlight one of our newer clubs on campus, the Vanguard Society. The Vanguard Society aspires to engage the campus community in service learning to complement student learning, encourage degree completion, and enhance the development of the student on a personal level. A few examples of their involvement include sponsoring the Toys for Tots toy drive at the holidays, and you saw the picture earlier, participating in the Valentine's Day Carnation Sale, which raised funds to provide after-school snacks for the Boys and Girls Club, attending Alternative Spring Break in South Carolina to build homes for Habitat for Humanity, volunteering at the food bank, and participating in SGA, peer mentoring, and being new student orientation leaders. And I've asked a member of the club to briefly share his experience. SJ?
Good evening, everybody. I am SJ. I am part of the Vanguard and also a part of the Student Government Association Club. Today I will be talking about Vanguard, and Vanguard is basically an organization where we go outside of the school to basically volunteer and give out to the community, whether it is Toys for Tots. You have to sacrifice again your hamburgers and your french fries for the kids. You can't think about just yourself all the time. You have to think about others. So Vanguard, we do the Toys for Tots. We do the carnations during Valentine's Day, where we actually go out, sell chocolate, sell flowers, and we use that to give for the kids for their food, their snacks, and their lunch. Basically, I love Vanguard, and I definitely encourage you to talk to your students about Vanguard, because Vanguard is an awesome organization to be a part of. And like I said, we can't just think about ourselves all the time. We have to think about others and these other children that are out there. So I definitely do recommend that you get involved as well and your students get involved. Thank you.
So now that you know a little bit more about this new club, please encourage your students to get involved, and they may contact Dominique Carter or Denise Berry, co-advisors. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name's Taryn Tankricha, and I'm the International Education Director college-wide here at Delaware Tech. And I wanted to thank all of you first for your support of Study Abroad and the Global Understanding series. This year, we have close to 90 students studying abroad on 6 different courses, and about 30 or so of them are from the Owens campus, and we're really excited about that. And that couldn't have happened without your support and promotion of these programs and working hard in your departments to develop these courses and opportunities for students. So thank you so much for that. But I'm here today to talk about the Global Understanding series and to recognize one of the faculty for their achievements. As a reminder, the Global Understanding series has 4 types of events. It's free for students, staff, and the community. There's Global Voices, Postcards from Abroad, Global Skills, and Culture and Arts. And there are flyers out back for spring semester. If you didn't grab one on the way in, please grab one on the way out. There are some exciting events, such as a bus trip to the Harriet Tubman Underground Railroad, the International Festival Extravaganza the day before Good Friday. There is a month-long scavenger hunt to find international influences on campus, and it's in March, so don't worry, we're not asking people to do that when it's 10 degrees outside, and it doesn't take a whole month, so so please encourage your students to do that. And then there's also a panel session in late April with students in the OTA, PTA programs and nursing programs who are all traveling to different destinations, to actually Vietnam and the Dominican Republic on service learning courses. They'll come back and share their experiences. So we encourage you to attend these events and bring students with you, or better yet, We're always looking for new activities or ideas or partnerships with instructors and staff members. And I wanted to take a moment to say that the Global Understanding event topics do not have to be solely related to travel. I think in this time when it seems harder and harder to understand each other, you can access Global Understanding funding to incorporate events related to empathy, compassion, understanding viewpoints that are different from one's own. So if you have an idea for that, please feel free to contact myself or Amy Russell or any member of the Global Understanding Committee here on campus. And in an effort to encourage these partnerships, the college initiated the Global Ambassador Award this past year to recognize and reward faculty and staff for innovation in global understanding. You can let us know how you meaningfully integrated it into your class, club, or other community activity. It could be something you did for other employees, something you did outside of here. Or not outside of here, but inside of here for outside of here. So you can enter it on our online Google form. It's pretty simple. And a winner is chosen each semester, and that winner will be recognized at a campus update and receive a $250 Visa gift card. So if you have questions about that, I'm happy to answer that as well. But now I would like to honor the first awardee of the Faculty and Staff Global Ambassador Award for the Owens campus, and that is for Nicole Truitt. I think she's here somewhere. Nicole, if you can come down. And we recognize Nicole for the activities she initiated with students in her education learning community related to 2 Global Understanding events, Snack Around the World and the Study Abroad Fair. And in her application, Nicole stated, "As education students, I think it's important for them to be exposed to diversity and cultural exchange to prepare them for teaching in diverse classroom environments. I also think it's important for them to experience firsthand the value in hands-on learning opportunities so that they will be able to recreate these multidimensional teaching strategies later on with their own students." So please join me in congratulating Nicole on her award and being a global ambassador to students on campus. Thank you, Nicole. Okay, and thank you all of you for your support as well.
Congratulations again, Nicole, well deserved. At this time, I am going to invite up Rich and Justina for the long-awaited drone update. So those of you that want to fly again, stay tuned. Here it is.
Hi, everyone. It's so nice to be back at Owens. I was looking forward to this day. So give me a second. Okay, so I know there are some of you probably sitting in the crowd who are a little bit like me, and drones may not be the thing on your radar. But there are some of you here who are chomping at the bit, so to speak, to fly drones and to incorporate them into your classes, into your programs. My role in our venture into drones, or I'll refer to them as UAS, here at the college, is that I chaired a task force, a college-wide task force that our president appointed early 2016. The task force is probably hoping that they're done with their work, but I haven't turned in the final report because we're really not done talking about drones here at the college. This is a moving target. People from your campus who served on that task force with me, or continue to serve on the task force with me, are Chris Moody and Brent Mitchell. And then Rich Welsh is my co-presenter today, who also served on the task force. Not only did we have an internal task force that looks at how can we incorporate drones into our programming, which was a really major charge of that task force, but we also knew that we needed to take a step back and really look at policy and procedure and how can we establish, protocol so that everyone knows what they can and can't do. This is a highly regulated initiative. The FAA is in charge of that. There are airspaces that you can and can't enter. There are rules about who can and can't fly. And when you are flying, there are rules about how you do that. So this is, again, a very, very much a moving target. And today we're presenting what we know at this point and what the rules and policies are. In addition to the task force that we internally have, we also participate in statewide conversations. The state of Delaware is looking for ways that the state can become involved in research opportunities, how we can use this as an economic driver for the state. Are there industries and businesses that can come in, and then Delaware Tech serve as the educational training institution for those economies. So we continue to participate in those conversations as they happen. In April 2016, the college requested permission from the FAA to operate UAS for educational purposes, and we were granted in November 2016 that right to do so as long as we comply with the CFR Part 107 that you see listed on the screen here. So in April 2017, this task force internally, as I said, decided we needed to have this policy, and Rich Welsh and Brian Shirey from legal created that policy. The task force approved it. It has now gone through President's Council and has been approved at that level. You will be able to find that policy out on our site. And you'll see it here, unmanned aircraft system, aircraft policy. It's here. And you can see it's very long and very specific. There is a form that goes with this that is listed here in PDF. And Rich is going to talk a little bit about that form. So that's the introduction, and then Rich is now going to provide you some specifics about the policy and what you can and can't do, just so as you walk out of here, you can be thinking, again, my role at the institution is academic affairs. So you be thinking about how might I incorporate drone technology into my programs, enhance my students' resumes as they exit and go into the workforce. And we have to do that in a certain way, which Rich will explain. So Rich, I'm going to turn it over to you to summarize.
Thank you, Justina. See some familiar faces out there. You may not know who I am, though. Again, I'm Richard Welsh. I'm legal counsel for the college. I'm based out of OPP. I work for our general counsel, Brian Shirey. And if we haven't interacted yet, I look forward to the chance to help you in doing the good work you do for our students. I don't have a long presentation. It's intended to be short. But if you do find yourself, drifting off, we can have Jerry come up and do more pie charts and stuff if you want. Let's talk a little bit about our drone policy. We are treating everyone here, when we talk about drones or UAS, pretty straightforwardly. If you're a college employee and you're putting a college drone or a drone as part of your instruction in the air, or having students put things in the air, drones, then you need to be licensed to do so, okay? That's pretty straightforward. It's as if we all expect that you have driver's licenses when you drive here, right? And the operating rules that I'm gonna talk about with drones are not things that, Justina and I sat together to make it less fun. These are things that the federal government says have to be adhered to if people are going to put things in the air which are not insubstantial in weight that could harm somebody. So, two of the main things about our drone policy is that we're going to comply with all state and federal laws, including the Part 107 regulation that Justina talked about. Any purchases of drones, right, need to be cleared through the Office of General Counsel and the Vice President for Finance. Why? because we like to know, right, if we're going to be buying things that go in the air that could potentially, cause a situation for the college. It's also important because the college will have an obligation to register these vehicles before we put them in the air. So we want visibility into that. If you've purchased a drone since we last did an audit in winter of 2016, you want to let us know so we make sure we get it registered and we can move from there. Obviously, it goes without saying that any purchases of the drones need to be cleared and comply with our fiscal and purchase guidelines that already exist. So this is just another layer of, red tape on top of that, just to make sure with this type of purchase, we are all in the loop. And if you have any questions, this is technical stuff, just raise your hand. Do we all know what drones are? Does anybody not know what a drone is? Good. Unmanned aircraft system. So, like I said, for flights by staff and students, you don't need to do anything with getting prior approval from me or anybody else, except if you're putting something in the air, either yourself or a student, that person has to be licensed to do so. And there's a very straightforward FAA license and approval process to have it. And you get issued a card, right, that you need to have on your person if you put it in the air, okay? And not only do you need to have the license, you need to comply with certain operating rules that the FAA dictates that I'll talk about in a second. So that's pretty straightforward. We don't need to hear from you about a drone putting in the air so long as you're taking care of your licensing. As for third parties, people that aren't students or staff that you invite onto campus to do a demonstration, right, to do photography, do all the different type of applications that are available with UAS, then you need to clear that with us. And that's the Office of General Counsel, and there'll be an approval form to submit 2 weeks ahead of time so that we have visibility into who's putting this vehicle in the air, whether they're licensed, and whether there's insurance, right? Because remember, if we're bringing somebody onto campus to put something in the air, that has safety concerns and liability for the college as a property owner. Okay. Obviously, we don't want to be too much of a buzzkill in addition to what we already are with this, but if we find out that a UAS has been put in the air in violation of the licensing provisions or our policy, that could have an impact on you being able to use UAS in the future, and it may be a corrective action that may have to impact your employment. Obviously, when third parties come onto campus, the college is not going to be responsible for any damage that third party does as a result of a drone accident. Okay, so I already talked about this, but one of the main operating rules here is that anytime something goes in the air, right, we're going to have a licensed operator conducting the flight, okay? And just so you know, the standard to complete that license is a written test that the FAA administers with a little bit of study and a ground course. Most people can get that license. And you only have to be 16 in order to apply, right? So it's something that most of us should be able to get if they had an interest there. As it applies to faculty, if you had a faculty member who's a licensed operator, you could provide instruction to students who aren't operators so long as you have a drone which is equipped with a dual control system, meaning the pilot has control of the vehicle and then a student has control of the vehicle, but that the faculty member, the licensed person, can basically disrupt their control and take over, kind of like with a driver's ed course. So, Justine already talked about this. There's a lot of detail here about airspaces, and it's really kind of strange wording and everything. For flights here at the Owens campus, you don't have to worry about any of this. Where I stand now, where we all sit, is in Class G airspace, meaning you can put these things up in the air as long as you comply with the other rules. However, you want to make sure that if you are going to have flights in this area, it would be a very good idea, because we are close to Delaware Coastal Airport, to maybe contact the tower that you're going to be putting things in the air, just to be safe. It's not required, but it's probably a good idea. If you fly these things and you're a licensed pilot, you need to always have your eyeballs on it. You cannot fly it outside of your line of sight, your unaided line of sight. Okay? There was an issue in Philadelphia. A Drexel college student put it in the air from his dorm room and flew over to the Delaware River, which is about 3 miles away, was outside of his line of sight, and that person ended up, I think, being cited by the Philadelphia police. So you want to make sure you don't do that. You also want to operate these things during daylight. There's a definition of what daylight is. Again, this may be more detailed than you want to deal with, but you want to make sure that you're not putting it up in the air dark. And you can't go faster than 100 miles an hour, which seems really fast, right? But don't go more than 100 miles an hour. Do not go in excess of 400 feet altitude. You need to yield to the right of way. These are all pretty straightforward things that you might even, pretty simple if like you're operating a vehicle. And you want to make sure that there's at least 3 miles of visibility when you have your flights. Obviously, the licensed operator needs to have on them the proper paperwork for the drone. They need to report any accidents to the FAA. They need to conduct a pre-flight inspection. Now, this sounds like a lot of detail, but you're already the person that has a license. You should already know this stuff. And then you need to ensure that the UAS is registered. What we don't want to do is we don't want to act as a pilot for more than one drone at one time. We don't want to operate from a moving vehicle, although that sounds really fun, or a moving aircraft. We don't want to engage in careless or reckless UAS operations, in case you intended to do so. And you don't want to operate if you know you have a physical or mental condition that would prevent you from operating it safely. Pretty straightforward stuff. I don't think we're breaking any new ground here, but you know, it helps to go through. Okay. Like I said, faculty can use UAS as long as there's a licensed pilot, and their operations are consistent with the college's UAS policy. Faculty can instruct students in UAS flight and permit students to fly the UAS as part of instruction so long as a licensed person remains in control. This is more like in Justina's area, but you might, like we were talking about, think about some of the applications of UAS to your subject matters. We already have UAS training courses, I think, available at the Stanton campus. I'm not sure whether we have that here now. But what we have found through our study is that while a specific program in UAS is not something that might be feasible at this point, there are many subject matters, right? Computer programming, right? Public safety, that drone knowledge or instruction would be helpful in their career as an adjunct to the overall skills that you're delivering on, okay? And with that, are there any questions? Yes, in the room, in the back. I believe you can. Yeah. Oh, good. Great. Any other questions? Yes.
Jess, are they operating them? Yeah, you'll need to send the licenses to Rich's office, to legal, please. I don't think that we really need to have you do that to HR at this point, just through legal. And are they operating it with a dual?
No, the drone we got was in 2015, pre-everything, so I think we're getting a new one as soon as we all get our licenses.
Okay.
In fact, if any other department wants to share a cost of the drone that does have dual operation,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and like Rich said, that's what we've been hearing. I mean, I've been on a statewide task force. This has been my life, which is why later Melissa's going to present on the academic calendar, because I live drones and I had to have somebody work on academic calendar. But really, that's what we've been hearing, is that companies are not going to hire someone who just completes an associate degree in flying UAS. But what they want is people who have dual ability. So if they are someone who's going into visual communications, or someone going into a trade where they may be doing something with electronics or solar energy, it's an enhancement and provides a competitive edge for the student. Okay, any other questions? Okay, thank you very much.
Well, good afternoon. I have teenage boys, so drones are a popular topic at my household, but I am quite grateful to Justina that I was working on the academic calendar and not on the drones. So I am here today to just give you a brief update about our academic calendar. Have you heard that we're changing our academic calendar? Sounds like, yes, this has been a topic of discussion, right? So last year, we had an academic calendar task force who proposed that we restructure our academic calendar, and President's Council approved that restructure. We then appointed or formed an implementation team to really develop all the ins and outs of that academic calendar, because as you know, there are lots of moving parts with an academic calendar and lots of considerations that we must make sure we are all on the same page about before we implement the calendar. So I thank those who served on those groups from this campus on the task force. We had Heather Madden and Holly Hawkins, and in that implementation team, Gail Sherrier, Veronica Oni, and Jessica Friedman, and all of you, because we came to you and asked you questions and we needed feedback from you, so you really helped us to develop this calendar. And for those of you who don't work as closely with the academic calendar, that's okay too, because really the academic calendar becomes our battle rhythm for the year. It really guides a lot of the work that we do and the flow of how things move around campus. And it's always good just to know when things are happening. So even if you're never looking at the academic calendar, it's good for you to just hear these brief updates so you know what changes are in store. So just briefly, some highlights. How did we get here? We had a Blueprint for the Future task force a few years back, and one of many recommendations was that we look at the academic calendar, because what we were finding is that we couldn't do certain things we knew we needed to do for student success. For example, we couldn't offer financial aid for a summer bridge program. We know we need to do things like summer bridge, which enables students to be college ready that fall semester, but we couldn't give them financial aid for summer bridge. So we know our students need financial aid. We were kind of working at odds. So how do we make sure that those federal rules that we have to follow regarding accreditation, regarding financial aid, fit with our academic calendar? And then it was also time just to take a big picture perspective. And we saw that we had some classes, some sessions, like the second, third, and fourth 4-week sessions that weren't working well. We did not have much of any student success during those periods. We saw that we were creating lots of complication. Would everyone agree that the former academic calendar was kind of confusing? So that sometimes created inefficiency for us and confusion for our students that, again, wasn't yielding student success. None of us shy away from extra work, but if it's not resulting in the outcomes that we're trying to achieve, there's no reason for us to be just spinning and doing that work. So the task force, the academic calendar task force, recommended that we move to 15-week fall and spring semesters because this really allows us to better utilize the time within a year. Before, we were really bleeding from one semester into a next, and we didn't have time for those strategies like the summer bridge. And that also allows that time, that 15 weeks, allows those 2 weeks in between each semester, including 2 weeks before the semester starts when 10-month faculty come back. So that's very exciting. So just an overview of what the calendar looks like. The fall semester starts a week later than what we would consider typical, right? So usually we have like 2 weeks in August of the fall semester. Now it'll be 1 week in August of the fall semester. So basically like a week before Labor Day instead of 2 weeks before Labor Day. You can see that our sessions are streamlined. We have the full 15-week semester. We have then a first 4-week session, just the first 4 weeks, followed by the 11-week session. That allows us to do a lot as far as accelerating developmental education, and Carrie and Kathy and their teams have done a great job. Janelle have done a great job in really streamlining developmental education there. 2 7-week sessions, the first 7 weeks, the second 7 weeks, and then reading days between those 2 7-week sessions. There are 2 reading days for the fall semester. That gives the students a chance to, for lack of better words, catch up, right? We've all been in school. We know that it gets overwhelming, and sometimes you just need time to get back on track and to focus on your work. So time where students would have been in class, they won't go to class those 2 days. They won't have clinicals those 2 days. They'll spend that time making sure that they're studying, that they're preparing, that they're completing projects, coming to the tutoring center, getting math help, whatever they need to be staying on track to finish the semester strong. Spring semester looks very similar. The difference there is we don't have reading days because there's already a spring break, but spring break will always be the week following the 8th week of the semester. Spring break is not actually a week of the semester. We stop counting for spring break, so to say it's the 9th week is wrong. We go to week 8, take a week off, come back, and it's week 9. So the week following week 8 will always be spring break from this point forward. After this will be our last year where spring break is following the Good Friday holiday that we have off. Summer semester, we have 12 and 10-week sessions starting at 2 weeks after spring ends, so it's like the end of May. And then several weeks later, the last 7 weeks of the semester is a 7-week session. Just like we offer 7 weeks in fall and spring, we're going to have 7 weeks in summer. There is no longer a Maymester. This is our last summer for Maymester. So that's just a brief overview. And as I shared, really the focus of this new calendar is student success, as it always is. So some brief things you might want to know. With this new calendar, we have been able to move up the dates for applying for financial aid and, of course, awarding financial aid sooner. Students can always apply and be awarded financial aid after these dates. These are just the preferred dates. What will happen, though, if the student doesn't complete financial aid by the dates listed above, they will have to enroll in our installment payment plan. Right now, we have a lot of students who are not able to continue their enrollment because they owe us money. The installment payment plan is going to ensure that they're able to make those payments. The payment will be deducted from their bank account or charged to their credit card, their choice, and then we'll get those automatic payments from them on the designated payment schedule. And then the next semester, they won't have an accounts receivable hold, right? Advisors, you're looking at all the students not returning, and a lot of them have accounts receivable holds. And so they tell you they want to come back, but are you going to pay their bill for them? And unfortunately, we can't do that. So I think this new calendar, along with the installment payment plan that Dan Eman, the Director of Business Services from Stanton & George, has been leading, is really going to help us. Students who don't enroll in the installment payment plan don't have financial aid, or they can make a payment in full by that payment plan date. We will have still 2 deletions per semester. I really need everyone's help with this one. I talked about this the other day with a few people, but we use words like early registration and pre-registration to mean that the student registered, maybe in April, May, June for the fall semester. That's not early registration or pre-registration. That is on-time registration. When students wait until right before classes begin, they are late. Last spring, so before spring 2017, we had almost 1,700 students register the week before classes begin. How can we plan for that? How can we manage that, right? Do you just feel crazy, like you come back from the break and like 4 hours on the first day, you don't know you were ever gone? Right? Because that's the volume that we're working with, trying to do all that we can to help those students. So we all need to make a concerted effort to let those students know that is late, right? So late registration, which has a $25 fee, will be moved back several weeks to better communicate that message. We don't think $25 will be a barrier to enrollment or prevent us from having a high volume of registrants at the last minute still, but we think it will better communicate that you need to register on time. So with that, we're going to communicate designated, what we're calling express registration days. Obviously, registration lasts for several weeks or several months depending on the semester, but we're going to communicate this is a day you can come and register, because we know students do better with specific targets. We piloted that last summer for fall, and we got significantly increased enrollments on those days. So we think by communicating designated days to register, that if you register past this date, there will be a late registration fee, that you're really late, that will help students to remember to register on time and over time decrease our habitual offenders. We will have a last day to apply for the 15th semester. The last day to apply for the semester online will be the 15th day of the semester. What this means is that after the 15th day of the semester, you shouldn't apply for that semester. You're too late to come in for that semester. So for example, for this past fall, we had about 600 students apply after the 15th day of the semester, and 0 of them actually registered for any courses. So rather than try to help them register for fall when they really can't, we're going to help them apply for the next semester. And for next year, so we still have a little bit of time to go, so next March 2019, we will release a whole year's master schedule at once so that we can advise that student who comes to us in October, well, maybe there aren't any classes for you right now, but let me show you what you're going to have in January and what you're going to have in May and what you're even going to have next August, September, and really help the student plan and develop that plan in advance. We know that students who wait until the last minute to register are not successful. This will really, really help that. But everyone needs to work together to accomplish this. And then with that, we are working on improved early feedback and intervention. I know we would all agree this is an ongoing topic. I think many of you have heard that we are moving away from the codes. For those of you who use these, we can forget what 80, 82, 84, and 86 mean. You can wipe that from your memory. And instead, we will use actual grades. Isn't that just incredible, a novelty here? So we will report actual grades at the midpoint of the semester. Those breaks that I shared about earlier will be a chance for students to really make sure they are on track for the semester. Again, we really need everyone's help with this. It's good to give students those official midterm grades and for students to have access to their grades in Blackboard or Desire to Learn in their electronic grade book. But we need to have those crucial conversations that are sometimes difficult with students and let them know how they stand. And everyone needs to be a part of that so that that student can use those couple of reading days wisely. Right? Maybe they're on track and that's great, and here's a project they could get ahead on. Maybe there are some things they really need to study during those days. At any time throughout the semester, we need everyone to make sure that they're communicating in that way with our students. With that in mind, we have extended the time frame to withdraw. Students will basically have through the end of the 11th week of the semester, so that's about 80% of the semester where they can withdraw officially from classes, so they won't be penalized GPA-wise. We hope that this will help them, but again, they'll need that feedback. Not to withdraw prematurely, but if they are in a situation where a withdrawal would be a better fit, they could certainly discuss that, and we hope that they're discussing that with you, and we're trying to make sure students understand that. And finally, you may be saying, okay, this is great, but we are here, it's past 4 o'clock, how are we supposed to remember this, Melissa? A couple of ways. We have new academic calendar software. Everyone has been excited for something like this to happen. This software will also give us the ability to have a student activities calendar with it. So for everyone who's been giving that feedback, please thank Adrian Wade who made this possible. So that academic calendar will replace the Google Calendar that we're currently using for the academic calendar information. So right now, if you look at the academic calendar for 18-19, it's not populated because we're migrating to this new academic calendar. Our goal is that it will be available in March. And this is one of those things, one of those areas where I think I'm still a little old-fashioned, and I just love to have something I can put on my refrigerator. So we are working, Gail is working with marketing to make sure we have a handout that is available to the students where we can post it to the web, they can print it off, and stick it on that refrigerator. We'll also be providing all of you with all the details you need, hard copies, we'll send them electronically so you can print them, have them for your desk, for all the dates, the ins and outs, midterm grading dates, grades due dates, all that we usually do. We'll make sure we clearly communicate that to all of you, and that'll be available within the next few weeks. If you have any questions, you can email me, talk to me, give me a call, or talk with Gail or Christy or Leslie. I think they have all the information that you might need, and I'm really excited to see how many improvements we'll have to student success with this new process. So thank you.
Okay, so I have two communication and planning updates today, but I wanted to start out first with a crisis communication plan update. We have been working college-wide to align our communication plans, and certainly one of these was the crisis communication plan. The plan has been updated. It's available on the portal. You can just go to resources under employee tools, and there you'll find the updated crisis communication plan. If you do take a look at it, and we hope you do, we encourage you to do that. I just wanted to let you know there is an abbreviated version of the crisis communication plan on the portal. So if you look at the table of contents, it will appear that pages 11 through 69 are missing, but those pages are actually tools for the crisis communication team to utilize during an actual emergency. So I just wanted to let you know that in advance. For those of you who might not be aware, I just wanted to let you know what the purpose of the crisis communication plan is, and it is to effectively prepare the college to manage emergency communication at every level of the institution and outlines procedures that ensure concise, consistent, credible, accurate, and timely communication with internal and external constituents in the event of an emergency incident. I did want to point out, it's important to note that this plan is focused solely on communication. There is a separate emergency management plan on the portal that tells us how to deal with different incidents and kind of guides us through how to respond to those. Certainly, like I said earlier, this is a document I hope that we never have to use, but it is a good idea to make yourself familiar with the document, and if you have any questions, to please let me know after you've reviewed it. The other item that I wanted to mention today is that for all emergency incidents on campus, the initial point of contact for communication is the Director of Communication and Planning. So what we want to let you know, if a member of the media reaches out to you, whether it's in person, via phone, or email, that you should direct them to myself, and if I am not available, they should contact Jason Burlew, our Public Relations Manager. And you can see here on the screen, we just have some sample statements, so if someone from the media reaches out to you, or you can just simply say, you know, I can't assist you with that, but you can reach out to the Director of Communication and Planning. And this just isn't for emergency situations. If someone reaches out to you and asks you to comment on behalf of the college, you should always direct them to Director of Communication and Planning. So, does anyone have any questions about the crisis communication plan, or just responding to the media in general? All right, so now on to the fun stuff. As Bobby indicated, our gala is coming up in April. This year the gala is April 21st, and that is a week earlier than our gala normally takes place. And as you can see here, the theme this year is New York, and we're super excited. The gala committee has been working hard already, and they have a lot of really fun activities planned. I did want to let you know, though, that the proceeds from this year's gala will increase scholarship opportunities for workforce training certificate programs and assist with the purchase of program equipment to support hands-on learning experiences for our students. So, as always, the gala funds are going to great causes. This is just a map. I know it's going to be hard to read, but we are changing things up just a little bit this year. As normal, we're going to start with the cocktail reception in the gym, and dinner will take place as usual in the Student Services Center. But the activity rooms this year are going to be in the Jason Technology Center. I thought I would get at least one shout out from the nursing department. Yeah, the other change that's not noted on the map is the volunteer dinner. So typically we have the volunteer dinner in the Child Care Development Center, and this year it's going to take place in the Carter Partnership Center. And the reason for that is we're trying to have a majority of the volunteers have dinner, you know, all together at the same time in a location that's not so chopped up. And then Bobby has agreed also to come kind of kick it off, you know, thank our volunteers and get everyone excited for the evening. All right, so let's talk a little bit more about what we've planned so far. Our first stop on our New York City tour is going to be Broadway Bites. So this year's cocktail reception is going to have more of a street fair feel. And we're going to have, as usual, different restaurants. Some of those that have already committed are Blackwall Hitch, Touch of Italy, and 1776 are coming back. And new this year, we have Semras and Indigo. And all of the restaurants are going to be showcasing a diverse mix of their most popular cuisines. We really wanted it to have that flair that New York has, and just the diversity that sometimes maybe we haven't seen in the past. So once guests leave Broadway Bites, they're going to head to dinner at 11 Madison Park. And on their way, they're going to cross the Brooklyn Bridge, take a subway, and even walk through a construction zone. After enjoying a delicious dinner at 11 Madison Park, half of our guests are going to enjoy a performance, where else but Radio City Music Hall, and that's going to be starring Clear Space Theater Company, located right in Rehoboth. And they are going to be presenting Broadway Review. The other half of our guests are going to head to activity rooms where they can sing karaoke in the Apollo Theater, play amusement games at Coney Island, relax and have a cocktail at either Don't Tell Mama Piano Bar or Empire Rooftop Bar, where we will have a coffee bar, martini bar, and wine bar. So a little something for everyone. And guests will also be able to hop on a New York sightseeing tour bus and actually tour New York City via virtual reality. So we're super excited about that. The guests are going to finish their evening in Times Square, dancing to tunes by the Funsters, and again, enjoying some desserts provided by some local restaurants. We just want to say, make sure you don't leave early, or you might not be around to watch the ball drop. So So you can see the gala committee, like I said earlier, has been hard at work. But we really do need we need your help to make this event a success. Jennifer Blackwell and Holly Hermstead are leading our volunteer committee this year, and they've made it super easy for you to sign up to volunteer. You can just go to the link that's here on the screen. Just submit, your contact information. Let them know what area of the gala that you would be interested in assisting with, and they will be in contact with you. And then also Bobby is going to be including the link as well in her next Bobby Blast. So we are super excited. I think, like I said, the committee's done a great job. We've got a lot of really fun activities planned, a lot of good local entertainment. When we were looking at entertainment, it was important to the committee and to Bobby that we support our local talent. So we're excited to have Clear Space Theater and then the Funsters supporting our gala this year. So hope you'll sign up to volunteer. Like I said, I think it's going to be loads of fun. So, thank you.
All right, gang, so I tapped Galen on the back and I said, Galen, let's move our public safety update to March because we're getting a little late on time. I do want to say, though, that we're going to do a follow-up on the lockdown, like the differences between the lockdown and stuff per your guys' request. But in the meantime, when I do my next Bobby's Blast, probably this week, I'm going to send the link to the video that Galen showed at in-service that kind of goes over all that. And it's been a while since we looked at it, but it kind of talks about the terminology. And then our next update is in March, and Galen will come back together with us and kind of go over some of those things. But in the meantime, I know he's been kind of going around campus, working with different departments on talking about, in our area, if there was a lockdown or whatever, what we would do. That is still available, and I know he was going to mention that today. So if your department, your area, your office is interested in that, please contact Galen and the public safety team, and they will get with you to kind of work on that. But we're going to do the public safety lockdown update next time we have an update. And I'd like to invite in our OTA students. And they're going to tell you a little bit about why Jerry, Justina, and I have on our crazy socks today, and how you can get a cool pair yourself to wear on March 21st. So the OTA club's going to, and I know they're going to be outside to collect your orders too.
All right, hi, my name's Jen, and we are with the Occupational Therapy Assistant Club. I'll try to make this quick for you guys. So we're helping Down Syndrome Delaware raise money for research and education. It's only $1 a pair for a mixed match pair of socks. You do not need to have the money today, but if you want to, that's up to you. We'll take a name, how many pairs, an email or phone number, and then we'll get up with you probably around after March 4th, because that's when we'll pick them up and sort through them. And just so you know, it's March 21st because there's an extra third chromosome, the 21st chromosome. So March 21st, 3/21. So we will be outside with brochures, a little bit more information. If you want to help us out with this, all money goes towards them. Thank you.
Thanks, ladies. We look forward to getting lots of pictures of all of you with your crazy socks on in March. Bobby, Ask Bobby is always at the end. Is there anything specific that you all have for me? Any questions that you might have? Any dying needs that you need met that I can look at Jerry and ask him to pay for? Anything that you need? You guys good? I don't want you to wait till these times. You can come into my office, call, text, IM me, talk to me on a Fitness Friday walk around campus. We solve all the problems of the campus during that time. So thank you guys. Again, I know it was a long update, but I hope that you took away a lot of great new information, and have a great day.